If you don't know who we are, I think I know pretty much all of you, but I'm Mr. Batsford. I teach business and economics, and this is...
I'm Scott. I also teach business here at the school.
Excellent. So, let's get going. We're going to whiz through this. We're going to try and focus second half a little bit more about what's in it for you working for finance. I'm going to give you a little background to start off with. Honest show of hands, how many of you are here because of honesty? Look how quickly they went up. Yeah, I'm here for the money. It's all about the money. Zach, like it. Jamie? Yeah? Absolutely. Okay. So maybe about half. We're here to make some money. It's all about the money. How many, you might not have thought about this, how many of you are here for this? Helping other people to read. Who said, nah, Zach, no, definitely not. Zach's not here for that. I think he's made his position clear. Has anyone thought about this, that actually working in the financial industry, you could help other people to reach their financial goals? Retirement is when you stop living at work and begin working at living. Anyone thought about that? Any hands up? Okay, so this is actually, surprisingly, roughly what sort of inspired me to go into finance. Obviously there's money in there, but I was thinking about this when I thought about finance when I first went into the industry. So, the good news is, in the finance industry, you can earn money and help people in the process. So what a lot of people don't really focus on is the core function of the city. It's not to make money. It was actually founded to help people, and we'll go through that. This is a very important industry for the UK economy. So the taxes that it generates, this was 2014, but nevertheless still very relevant, 11.5% of all UK tax receipts came from the financial industry. So if you work in the financial industry, it is an important industry for the UK economy. It's quite high profile. And you can feel good about that. You're contributing. And when we talk about finance, we look quite carefully in the invite. We're not just talking about banking. There are lots of different little subsegments. So this is how many people were employed in financial services in 2015. So around over 2 million people, 2 million workers in the UK work in the financial industries industry. But only roughly 20% are actually in banking. Insurance is a big employer. Other financial services, that includes investment management, investment banking. I'm going to go through the differences between those. And there are all these related functions like legal, management consultancy, accounting services. My wife's an accountant. I know quite a lot about accountancy as well. So it's not just investment banking. I think investment banking we talk about a lot. That's actually a small part of what the city and the financial services industry do. Okay, the financial industry's reputation has not been brilliant over the last few years. So in my economics classes, a lot of people have been sort of saying, oh, so have you seen Wolf on Wall Street? There's that, the Wolf of Wall Street. Have you seen that? Oh, is that what it's all like? Is that what it's like working in the city? Not really. There are elements of that. There are some naughty people who do and have worked in financial services. Bernie Madoff, I don't know if any of you come across Bernie Madoff. He was in charge of a huge amount of money in the US, and his name is very relevant because he effectively made off with the money. He ripped people off. It was a big fraud, the whole thing. LIBOR, subprime. You might recognise some of these. Nick Leeson, Adeboli. Rogue traders who lost the banks billions of pounds, and then stuff that hit a lot of people in the UK. Protection insurance missold. There's been lots of scandals. So lots of people think finance. When you say, "Oh, I work in the city, I work in finance," you're like, "Oh, that's a dirty industry. It's a naughty industry." However, this is what I come back to when I was working there and now for you guys. At its heart, the city and finance, they do provide a really valuable service to society. And this is where these all came from. This is where it all originated. So intermediating means putting together and being the go-between between borrowers and savers. If you need to borrow some money to buy a house, that money's going to come from someone. That money's going to come from savers. So there's a nice service there. Helping people to save for retirement, that's what I focus on. I went into the investment management industry. And part of what motivated me was I thought I can actually help people plan for their retirement, because the government is shifting the burden of retirement more onto people now. So the state pension is going to provide a little bit, but more and more people have their own pension schemes, and as a function of that, you're having to look after your money a lot more. When you start working, you'll actually probably have to manage, depending on where you go, but most people now have to manage their own pension schemes a little. To a degree, make choices. Companies can help you do that. Raise capital for businesses. How do businesses invest? Buy new machinery, buy new capital, take on new people. Provide insurance. Insurance is a fantastic product. We overlook that. It's a big part of financial services. It's not about trading. It's not about ripping people off. It's about insuring people's property and insuring business property. And then helping businesses to manage risk. All based on the principles of collective and mutual, sharing things. If you want to invest in property, in your pension, you're not going to have enough money to get decent exposure to that. You can't buy a house, you haven't got enough money, you can't buy a commercial building. If we all pull together, if all of you guys, once you've got your pensions, all pull your resources together, actually we could probably buy some commercial property or some housing. So the city and finance is so much based around collective, mutual, spreading risk, people coming together. So you can provide a really valuable service. It's not all about, some of you can make money, but it's not all about that. There are some really, really good, honest, decent services being provided by finance. Okay, investment management, investment banking, they are different. They're very, very different, and working in them is very, very different. Investment banking is what I've probably heard most since I've come here. People recognise, they talk about investment banks. I was an investment manager, and this is very long term. We take people's money, you pay into your pension fund, we take that money and we invest it on your behalf. We put it into things like equities, which are companies, student investors, you know all the stuff, equities, put it into property, put it into gold, commodities, and we're trying to get those assets to grow over 20, 30, 40 years, so that when you get to your retirement age, you've got a nice big pot and you can have a nice big income on that. Investment management tends to be very long term. It's all about investing in companies, we're giving companies capital. Investment bankers are deal makers. So they're things like when companies join together, when they merge, when companies want to raise capital, that's where investment banking comes in. So this is known as the buy side up in town, and this is known as the sell side. Actually working in these is quite different. I was attracted to this part of the industry because the hours tend to be quite reasonable. I've never really worked many weekends in my entire, I was in the city for over 20 years, blah, 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 and in all that time, rarely did I have to work at the weekend. And the hours were not bad. The hours were quite long, quite intense, a bit like school, but at the weekend you need a rest, you need a break. Investment bankers, on the other hand, when they've got a deal going on, it can really be all-consuming. So investment bankers often work very, very long hours when they've got a deal going on, including weekends. And this, you know, you can have a look, there's blogs, there's this sort of stuff, but investment bankers maybe go home, have a couple of hours sleep, get changed, come back when they've got a big deal going on, and that can be 7 days a week. But then they have breaks in between, so it's a bit more intense. So there's a big difference in terms of how you can, you know, investment banking, investment management, don't confuse the two. But there's lots of other related jobs. Even if you like technology or accounting or human resources or presentations, or we had people in my old company who just focused on producing presentations for people who were going out to see clients. So we'd sit there and just do PowerPoint. So it's not all whizzy maths, it's not all financial products. There are so many different aspects, so many different roles you can do up there. I'll pass over to Miss in a minute. So, I had a wonderful career. I was at Citibank for 11 years. I got a graduate training scheme, so I did get a degree. You don't need a degree to go into finance. We're going to emphasise that. Miss had a different route to me. I did get a degree, but you don't need one. I worked in the US, which was a brilliant experience. I did loads of travel when I was at Barclays, and at M&G, I was travelling all over the place seeing clients. It was really exciting, really good. It was a brilliant career. I got to work with and manage brilliant young people, all international people, not all Brits, loads of different people from Russia, from China, loads of really, really very international bunch I work with. I've got people I'll be in touch with for the rest of my life, see them regularly, travelled extensively, and one big thing, I was never bored. The markets, if you think about companies, they're always doing crazy stuff, they're always merging, issuing profit updates, doing crazy stuff, making losses, there's always news. I was never bored in my work. So that's me. Over to me.
Okay, so I want to give a bit of a background that's slightly different to that. So my background's in high street banking, so the banks that you see on high streets as you wander around town. I joined the bank on what they call the accelerated training programme, which was after my A-levels. So as I was leaving school, I had a place at university to study accountancy. I had a job offer from Barclays Bank, and I couldn't decide what to do. And in the end, I chose a job offer from Barclays and never really looked back. So in banking, there's a number of different jobs that you can go into. My journey, if you like, my little journey through banking, I started off at the bottom level and worked up through the ranks, learning lots of stuff in the background as I went on. So the day-to-day stuff, you know, general cashing and check and going into the branch, very mundane tasks, but build on that to start with so you know the background for when you're going out seeing clients and you actually understand how the bank operates as a whole. Primarily though, having got all that background, the bank allowed me to then focus on what I wanted to focus on. So the jobs that I went into were all things that I was interested in following. So all of the jobs that I took up were things that I applied for, I was interviewed for, and gained against other candidates. So I then moved into looking after small business customers because I was interested in business, wanted to find out a little bit about how their businesses worked, and it enabled me to then match products to their needs. Having looked at small business, I then decided I wanted to get a little bit more experience in managing teams. So I then started running the team that looked after small business customers. And from there, I was more interested in finding, well, if this is how a small business customer works, how does it work when they become a bit bigger, the corporate customers? So I then moved into that side of banking and started heading up a team there. Eventually, I decided that actually I knew so much about business, perhaps it was time to find out a little bit more about us as individuals, as clients. So I went into the Premier Banking team, which is high net worth clients, so people that are earning more than £100,000 a year are classed as Premier Banking clients. And generally, these people are people that manage their own businesses, and that's how they become quite successful. I ended up being an area manager, working in that. So again, it was a fantastic career, I really enjoyed it, completely different route to Mr. Batsford. Met loads of great people over the course of that, lots of them business clients, private clients. And I couldn't honestly say there was any roles that I did that I didn't enjoy. They all gave me lots and lots of experience and skills which are very, very portable. So things like leadership skills, team management skills, customer service skills, sales skills, loads of those things that you can port into different jobs. I just want to touch a little bit on how the bank's changed a little bit since I've left, because obviously if you go into a bank nowadays, you very rarely see someone behind a desk serving you and taking money from you. You very rarely see loads and loads of people in the branch. There's a lot more technology that's come into banking. But all that's done is it's just changed the role slightly. So again, if you were to join banking now, you can still go in from A levels, you don't have to get a degree. And again, you can get some background into how the bank operates as a whole. But where the roles have changed slightly, they're much more customer focused. So for example, my husband works in corporate banking, and he manages a portfolio of 25 clients. All of those clients are either hospitals or healthcare. So what that's enabled him to do is build up a fantastic knowledge of another industry linked with finance, and they have those sorts of things across the bank. So they have people that specialise in education, in construction. So it enables you to build up really good knowledge of loads of different industries as a whole, which again gives you much more fun in your actual role.
Excellent. Hopefully we're not going to sort of oversell this. It all sounds pretty glamorous and we did enjoy it, but there's lots of opportunities here. So, this is now more about you thinking about what you could do, what are the entry points, where could you actually work. So, lots of people talk about the City of London. The City of London was originally a square mile in the city, so just north of London Bridge over the river. Increasingly, it's moved out to Canary Wharf. So, I worked in one of these big towers. I worked in the big Citibank Tower in Canary Wharf. So in London, very accessible for you guys, there's actually it's almost like two big financial centres. They're actually quite distinct, but it's nowhere near just that. So that's when we really talk about the city and financial services. But actually finance, it's a national industry. So these are all towns with significant clusters, significant numbers of people working in them. So I studied up in Edinburgh. That's a big finance centre, Edinburgh. Lots of investment management up there, insurance, consulting, so in Glasgow, but all around the UK. So even in Brighton's got finance companies, so Amex, still down there for instance. Even Haywards Heath, where I live, there's Lloyds Bank. So it's not all about, doesn't have to be about London. There's lots and lots of different places that you can actually work. And not all companies that offer these services are headquartered in London. It's quite a London-dominated industry, but it's not solely London. And here are some considerations for your future career. So, if you were thinking about doing a degree, there are many banking and finance specific related degrees. So there's wider degrees, there's things like marketing, there's obviously economics and business, which we would always tend to shove you towards, but there are specific, if you really know what you want to do, banking and finance, have a look at some degrees. There's some really good ones out there. If you don't want to get a degree, many of you may not. Many companies offer apprenticeships. You don't necessarily need a degree. M&G Investments, the last company I worked for, they had a really, really good apprenticeship scheme. And I saw some of the apprentices come in, the sort of jobs they were doing, they were rotating around different departments, and they just didn't need a degree. They were doing really, really well, and they were able to progress within the company quite well. So you don't have a look. We're going to get you to, your challenge is to actually go and research an apprenticeship. Every big company will have a finance function. So I think, Miss, your husband is aligned with healthcare, knows a lot about the healthcare industry. My wife's an accountant. She used to work in the oil industry, really, really interesting industry. She now works in the construction industry. As an accountant, she could work in pretty much any different industry because they all need finance functions. So every big company will have some sort of finance function. So you don't just need to work for a bank or even a financial services company. You could work for pretty much any company but focus on finance. So you could be an accountant or a legal person or even a technology person in most of them. There are some very, very interesting places to work. A little bit with my economics hat on here. Bank of England takes on economists, and they're within the realms of finance. Economic business might be good to think about for sixth form. Again, you don't have to, but if you do know that finance is something that you would like to pursue, economics business would give you a good background for sure. Your skill set. Maths is generally going to stand you in good stead in finance because it's generally about numbers. As I said, there are certain things, legal, you might not need so much maths. If you're working on presentations, possibly not, but maths, these are general good skill sets. Sales skills, being able to talk to clients, being able to sell things, potentially presentation skills, you will meet a lot of people, you might have to present. Attention to detail, you don't want to be making mistakes that cost millions of pounds, so attention to detail is quite handy. Physical endurance, depends on the role, but some roles, through some time, certainly during the financial crisis when I was managing the money and things were just going absolutely bonkers, being able to endure really long days under stress was very, very helpful. More and more, the bottom two are going to become more important. As Miss said, there's going to be a lot more automation coming in. And you can go onto our website and there are things that, there are websites that show what type of jobs are most likely to be automated. Some finance jobs, such as accountancy, are very, very high in terms of their potential for being automated by robots and machines. So having creativity in your back pocket, and particularly technology. So I talked to my wife about this, and I understand what she does, and to me and to her, the whole accounting industry can be very, very automated. But frankly, as long as she knows a bit about technology and accountancy, she's going to be fine, because when they're going to need people to program the technology and understand how it works and check what the technology outputs. But the robots are coming, the machines are coming, so being creative, having a grasp of technology will for sure be helpful. And finally, pay. Zach, I didn't forget boys, I didn't forget how quickly your hand shot up. This is an example from investment management. So these are averages. And let's just say sort of analysts, you might go in as a research analyst. After 1 to 3 years, you could be earning 35 to 50, 35 to 60. There is a bonus culture in finance. So bonuses tend to be paid at the end of each year based on your performance. But some of these bonuses can really mount up. And as you go, so 5 to 10 years in this industry, you may well be one of the high net worth clients that Miss used to look after, over £100,000 of income with a nice bonus. These are averages. They can be there. You can earn good money in this industry, but I don't think that's kind of enough in terms of a reason to go into it, because not everyone will make top dollar. You need to be motivated by something to get those bonuses. And to me, if you can be motivated by actually this is a really good industry, it's very enjoyable, you can help people reach their financial goals, then you're probably going to do a good job and make some money. They go hand in hand. So, over to you. We'll take questions in a minute, but your challenge will be, we want you to research a segment of the finance industry that you would like to work in. So banking, accountancy, investment management, legal, technology, whatever it might be. go and find an apprenticeship vacancy. So just search on Google, do finance apprenticeship, banking apprenticeship, investment management apprenticeship. Go and have a look. I think you might be surprised quite how many apprenticeships there are out there. There's lots. That's the good news for you guys. Find a vacancy and fill out a mock application, because for some of you it might be too early. Some of you may know that you're going on to do a degree, but fill it out anyway. Just do it as a mock, and if you want to give it to us to have a look at, we can help you with that. For some of you, this will be very real. For some of you, I know one or two of you, maybe in year 13, you're thinking about an apprenticeship next year. Have a go. Apply for one. We're happy to help. I'd be very happy to have a look over your application if I can be of any help. So this is your challenge. There's got to be some return on our investment of time for you, okay? So have a look. Apprenticeships, look at an application. I think we're done.
Yeah.
So we want to kick you out. We want to let you go to the next lessons at 5:02. If there are any questions, we'd be more than happy to take them.